who's going through a bit of a hard time. She's getting quite a bit of abuse off the court. On the court, no, and there's not that many fans going to games, but and that's not a slight. That's just the way it is right now in America. There were some decent attendances early on in WNBA. This is Britteny Griner. She is being set up. She's been attacked. She's been abused because, of course, she's anti-American. She's not speaking out on anything. She's basically just keeping her head down and trying to get on with her life. Playing quite well as well in parts. But this happened to her the other night coming through Dallas Airport.
Like this. Do you still want to? Do you still want to boycott America, Brittany? Stop. Get off me. Stop. Stop. I'm weird. Why? She hates America. What about the Merchant of Death, Brett?
Now, the Merchant of Death, of course, was the person that she was exchanged for. Of course, initially, Russia, as we've laid this out, this is a fact. Russia were trying to get her home for Christmas. That was the plan. She had a lot of very heavy hitters pulling for her here, from the Minister for Sport to the head of her sponsors in Yekaterinburg, which is one of the biggest steel manufacturing plants in the world. They wanted her to go home out of respect, because even though she was in jail for committing a crime, she crossed the border with illegal drugs in her personal belongings. There was a bit of humanity about it, and this was a process that could have freed other people, including one teacher who was my neighbour, who Andrew Weiss worked with. Instead, there was this dumb deal, and one of the people who hired, of course, was Victoria Nuland, who basically wanted to leave her in Russia. But luckily, she's gotten home. But now this guy, I forget, Blaze TV or something like that. I don't know much about this guy. First time I'd ever heard of him actually was this. That tells you how much I'm involved in the news and understand the news. But he was setting her up basically to say like that she's un-American, that she's a disgrace. And this is a girl who has I'm not being disrespectful. So she's a woman who has represented her country, her team, her people, loves her country, has done an awful lot for the country. She has some issues in kind of personal issues. She has done some silly things in the past, but still, she is a patriot. And very often a patriot is a person who turns around and says, this is wrong with my country. This is how we can fix it. So this is kind of bullying. This is targeting someone. And there's also kind of an undertone of racism as well. Not misogyny, but there is an undertone of racism in this.
There certainly is. There's so much wrong with America. And that, I think, encapsulates it. You can't have the ability, people going on about freedom of speech, but you can't have the ability to critique things that you feel are wrong. If someone disagrees with what you're pointing out, then you must attack them as being unpatriotic. I think that's really, it's actually quite depressing to watch that. And he is obviously just someone with about the same moral compass and intellect as their former president. But just, Jesus Christ, the woman's going through that sort of level of abuse is just really, it's so disheartening. And I think there's a level when you watch that and you kind of just wonder, what are people meant to do? Yes, you're a public figure. Yes, you're participating in sport, but someone deciding you're unpatriotic or you're un-American, which I don't think is a correct term in terms of good English, but anyway, un-American, it just frustrates me. Un-American is based on you're not agreeing with their views, or you're questioning what goes on in your country or how they carry out certain things. This woman has been through a hugely traumatic year, and longer, I suppose, at this stage now, when you look at the overall from when she was first charged with the offences in relation to what was in her hand luggage or in her luggage coming into Russia. But I think it's just a really sad reflection of society, and I think it's very difficult. It's also extremely brave for her to continue on playing, because if this is what she's getting from one idiot going through an airport, imagine what she's getting online. Imagine what she's getting in DMs, even down to people still like to post hate mail. As one well-known GA manager in Ireland reported 2 years ago, he'd get letters to his home address. As in, if that's what we're seeing, imagine what goes on the rest of the time. And she continues to play and perform well, and to deal with what's going on, and also to deal with the trauma of what has happened to her. Being in prison will have a lasting imprint on the rest of her life, irrespective of the fact that she's now free and home. Everything that went on there is and the whole process she had to go through, being so heavily publicized. Yes, you're publicly known for being a sports person, you never thought you would be the subject of something such as effectively an international trade of a prisoner event. That's like, you know, this is something so huge for her to try and comprehend. And when you see an idiot like that, you're just like, do you know what? Like, he is just like, he should be sent out running with bears and let natural selection do its thing. Like, it pains me when you see that, because that is just a woman walking through, like, it's like someone minding their own business and someone wolf whistles at you and you go, do you know what? You're just a scrote. And that is what he is.
Yeah.
I don't use that word often enough. I think it's really, when you see it, the fact that he's recording, abusing someone, like.
Yeah, the whole thing, he calls himself a comedian. And I'm thinking, you're a comedian. And one of his lines that he came up with that he thinks he's so funny, he's like, was that a fair trade for the merchant of death? I know you kill it on the court, but he kills in real life. Like, I'm sorry, go fuck yourself, you little piece of shit. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. Athletes get enough of that.
How long would he last in a prison, do you think? Like,
look,
I probably would, because I don't think anybody would be interested.
Yeah, exactly. Look, he's a nobody. He's a nobody who basically is.
I'll tell you what he isn't. He's not a comedian, because he's just got zero sense of humour. It's not even a matter of sense of humour. Just a.
Brittany Griner didn't ask to be traded, I'm sure. I'm sure she didn't have any influence over what decided to happen in that front. And I think
that was from the State Department. Look,
it's nothing to do with her. So to abuse her over it.
These undereducated clowns like Alex Stein, who basically they're grifters. We know this. There's so many of them. Look, we see this now. Even Andrew and I were discussing the other night with some friends of ours, with Andy Mackinson. We're like, there are these people who latch onto things to grift, basically say, I'm an expert on this. It's like, what the hell do you know about this? Or what? But when they shout loud enough, they will get an audience of equally pathetic, equally stupid, equally, oh God, fools.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're right or not. It doesn't matter if you've got credentials. If you get enough people to watch, that pays your subscription. If you get a super YouTube channel, that's it. They don't care. They don't actually care about what they're saying. They just care about who's watching. How they do it is just irrelevant.
Yeah.
Andrew, you have hit the nail on the head there, because if people actually cared about what was the truth of a statement, we wouldn't have fact checking or warnings coming up on this may not be correct. You may need to check this when you see tweets. You're going, oh, yeah, because otherwise.
Well, this is what this piece of shit said. Okay, this is a guy. I'm sorry, I have to say this because this is now.
Did you say his name was Chip?
No, I said piece of shit.
A piece of shit. Oh right. Well, I hope his name's piece of shit.
His name is Alex Weinstein. Or Stein, whatever. Like, that's what he is. Like he is a golf shot of the highest order.
He's always embarrassed about saying scrote. We're just going another level here.
Sorry, like, you know, that he'd be there like fucking choking himself off and like, you know, whatever himself to sort of, because he's so thrilled with this attention. He also said to her, and this is the thing that like, if he was there, I would just plant him through a wall. Like, I would literally, as fat, I can't remember, if Brendan Grace was the actor, well, the actor in Father Ted, he's like, you know, if you say it again, I'll put your face in the wall, or put your face in the wall. Wherever. This is what he said to her, right? So this is what this arsehole said to a woman who has been through trauma. Again, she has more backbone. She got a damaged backbone because of fucking abuse on the court and abusing her body to try and make money and to maximize herself. And she's a huge, tall woman as well. She has more backbone. She stood up in court and said, I did it, I'm wrong. I throw myself in the mercy of the court. Whereas these little pieces of crap wouldn't do it. They would run and go, oh, mommy, please help me. And they run back to their like rich Jewish neighborhood in New York to get money to pay for their lawyers' bills. This is what he said to her. After he said that, like, when he kills in real life, and then he says, is it true you had to have sex with Vladimir Putin to get released from Russia? Now, I'm sorry. Kill on the court, kill in real life. Okay, fine. But, like, it's not the time or the place. To say that to a woman, so she's a whore? She's a black woman.
Is that not some sort of legal offence? I mean, is there not some sort of law about exactly what you're allowed to slander people with in public? Should he not be challenged legally for that? I mean, it's getting beyond
the joy of
a question of taste. Sorry, yes, I forgot.
It's just there's so many factors to that, as you just said. Firstly, she's a out and gay woman, and to suggest that is another level of it's just pathetic, really. It's not funny, it's not amusing, and it shows how small-minded an individual he is.
Yeah, look, it's not only small-minded, he's also got, I'd say he's probably got a mangina, because he definitely doesn't have a penis, because he's not a man. As Joe Biden rightly said, he's not a man. He's not a man. I'm sorry, he's not a man. A man would not say that to a woman, and he is lucky she didn't fucking plant him through a wall, because she'd pick him up, turn him into a pretzel, and boot his arse over the runway. I'm sorry, again, it's upsetting to me, because it's not just that I've met the woman. I don't know the woman. I've interviewed her, yeah. I've met her. I found her a really good person. I've spoken with this before. But this is horrible. And the right wing are running with this, because that's the little echo chamber. And yet, anyone who has a daughter will go, oh my Jesus Christ. Oh my Jesus Christ. How can you say that? That is, it's, okay. We're going to go for a short break, for just a very, very short break, so I can calm myself down, because otherwise I'm going to blow a gas, because again, this was just, it's a moment. So you're back in just a second with maybe some less stressful news.